Hello?
Hello. Yes, I'm trying to reach somebody about asking about circumcisions.
Yes, sir. Yes, you called the right place. How can I help?
Yes, sir. I was have some questions. My child has been. We've been planning on having him circumcised, but he's been doing research online.
How old is he?
He's 12.
How old?
He's 12.
12 years old?
Yes.
Right. Yes, sir. I am a pediatric doctor, and I only took circumcision at the 4 days.
Oh, okay.
I don't
Well,
think
I have a baby coming, and that's the baby I'm actually calling about, because we were planning on doing a circumcision for my baby that's coming. But my other son, he's the one that's been doing research online, and he was telling us that circumcision removes 1/2 the surface area of the interfacing genitals of the tissue that interfaces directly with the partner. So my question is that true? Does it really remove half the surface area? That's a lot of tissue.
No.
No?
No. It all depends from one baby to another. Yes, there are some babies who have a lot of foreskin, and then yes, sometimes you end up with half and all the extra thing. And there are some other babies who have very little foreskin.
Extra foreskin?
1/3. Huh?
Extra foreskin, you said? You mean longer?
Extra foreskin.
Okay.
Extra one. Yeah. So it's not half. It all depends on the baby. Different from one baby to another.
Well, he said it was 1/2 to 1/3 of the tissue, of the surface area. That's not true. So what would the percentage be? What percentage of the surface area is it?
Well, I have checked your babies when he's born.
No, I mean like in the male when he grows up into the male. I mean, we're talking about the end result. Like I'm a grown man. I've been circumcised. I want to know how much tissue am I missing. I'm asking you, like, what, generally speaking, what's the percentage of surface area removed during a circumcision from the adult male? Because I'm a grown male. Like, what's the average? You would probably know this, right? I'm sure this is part of your medical training.
Again, sir, it all depends on the anatomy. So basically, when I see a baby, when it comes to me for the circumcision, I remove enough skin so only the head of the penis exposed.
Yeah.
Leave the rest intact. The shaft, if it's done perfectly, should look like that the shaft of the penis has the skin, and the head of the skin, which we call the prepuce, has no skin.
Well, it's a double layered tissue. So as the penis becomes erect, that tissue unrolls, becoming making room for the swelling tissue. So when you look at that tissue and you cut it off, like if I look at my scar line, it's halfway down the shaft of my tissue of my penis. So if I imagine double the layer of skin to my scar line, that's more than half the surface area of my genitals, the skin tissue, right? That's more than half in my body. Because looking at my penis as an adult man, I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, that's more than half. And so my kid is right. They're removing about half, or 1/3 to a half. I mean, you can't really argue that, right? Because it is a double layered tissue and it everts when you get an erection. My other question is, he said it removes 75% of the nerve endings. Is that true? Does it remove that many nerve endings?
No? That's not true either. I mean, the area of skin that you remove, of course, it has some nerves on it. So as you remove the skin, the nerve innervating that part of the skin are gone too.
Okay.
But the percentage, no one could give you an exact percentage of what percentage of the nerves you're removing.
Have you ever read Taylor, Cold, and Lockwood's histology reports? Have you ever actually read the histology reports by Taylor, Cold, and Lockwood? Do you even know what I'm talking about?
No.
You don't know?
No, I haven't.
You're a neurologist, and you don't know the actual anatomy of the tissue you're operating on. You don't even know the histology reports. So you're basically telling me that have you heard of Sorrel's sensitivity? Okay, well, whatever, pediatrics, whatever you're doing, you're still cutting little babies. What is the? I'm asking you simple questions. What is the surface area? What is the percentage of nerves? You can't even answer that, and you don't even know the histology reports of the foreskin. You don't even know the basic anatomy of the structure. That's what you're basically telling me. My son was right. No, you don't. You've never heard of Taylor, Cold, and Lockwood. They actually took a microscope. And looked at the tissue, and you've never even read their studies. Have you heard of Dr. Sorrel's, the fine touch sensitivity testing that he did? Have you heard of Dr. Sorrel's? You've never heard of Dr. Sorrel's. I'm talking to you as an adult man. You're a doctor, and I'm asking you basic questions about anatomy that you're operating on in little children, and you do not know the basic anatomy. You can't answer these simple questions. You can't answer me how much tissue you're removing. You can't answer that. You can't answer me how much sensitivity is lost, because I know what's lost and I know what you're removing. I'm educated on the facts. I know know the history of it. I know this was started as an anti-masturbation campaign in the 1890s by quack medicine doctors who thought that masturbation was a sin and that sin was the cause of disease. And you're still doing that today to little children. You're ripping apart their genitals, and you don't even know the basic anatomy and structure of the tissue you're operating on. You don't even know the histology report done on the tissue you're operating on. That's what you're telling me. You've never heard of Dr. Sorrells. Have you at least heard of Jennifer Basio's studies?
All right, sir. I'm sorry. No one is...
Have you heard of Jennifer Basio's studies, sensitivity studies? Did you hear?
No, sir.
No.
I haven't.
So you don't know any of this knowledge. So please, let me ask you this. What is the medical reason you are doing this? What is your logic behind doing this? Can you answer that?
All right, sir. There is no medical reason for circumcision. When people come for their circumcision, I always tell them that there is no medical indication for circumcision. Circumcision is a cultural thing. People come to me, and many other doctors at their own will for the circumcision. Not something that we encourage people.
My question is don't you have to have consent to do an optional surgery on a human being? Don't you want to ask that human being if they want half the surface area of their genitals removed, 3/4 of the nerves, 75% of the nerve endings, the gliding moving function?
Okay, hold on, sir. I disagree with that. Depends on the anatomy.
No, bullshit, bro. Bullshit. That is a lie. That is a straight up lie. You're lying to me right now. You can't sit here and tell me you don't know how much tissue you're removing you're a doctor and you're doing these surgeries on children and you don't know the basic structure and function of the tissue. You don't even know the histology reports. Do you even know, and you're saying that this is done for no medical reason? You are practicing medicine and you're doing it for cultural reasons? Would you also agree with Dani tribe in Papua New Guinea that women should have their fingers removed when their men die in their culture? Would you also do that? Would you remove women's fingers because it was a cultural surgery? Of course not. Would you do this to a woman? Would you do this to a girl child? Would you remove a girl child's prepuce?
No.
Why?
No, I don't.
Why would you not remove a girl's prepuce? Because some cultures, actually all cultures that mutilate baby boys also mutilate baby girls. You know that, right? So all those cultures that mutilate girls are also mutilating boys, but you wouldn't do it to a girl. Why? Why?
That is not true. No, sir.
What's not true?
The stuff you're saying are not true. Why are we in this conversation?
You don't know basic anatomy, and now you're trying to act like you're the educated one. I'm the educated one here. I'm knowledgeable about this. I'm knowledgeable about this issue. You are not, and that's disgusting because you're doing surgery. You're doing surgeries on children. You are doing surgeries on children. You are forcing your knife into the genitals of little children who are fighting you back, and you strap them down and you cut apart their bodies for their parents' desires because of a cultural mutilation. That's what you're doing as a doctor, violating your oath. What do you have to say to yourself, for yourself? That's disgusting. You're violating children. You are violating and knife raping children. You're taking a knife to the genitals of little children. You're removing those sensitive part of their genitals for cultural reasons, for their parents' insecurities with the natural bodies they were born with. That's what you're doing. You're violating your oath. You don't even know. You haven't even read Taylor's. Okay, here's your homework, doctor. Docere means to teach, right? Docere is the Latin root of medicine, means to teach, right? I am being your doctor right now. I'm teaching you. Okay, what you need to do first off is quit violating children. It is not your right to listen to parents to have cutting of another person because of another person's desires or insecurities with their child's bodies. That's wrong. Next, you need to study Sorrells. Okay, go look up Dr. Sorrells. He did fine touch sensitivity testing of the male penis. He mapped out the sensitivity testing. Guess what his mapping matched? His mapping matched the histology reports done by Taylor, Colden, Lockwood, who you haven't studied either. Taylor, Colden, Lockwood took a microscope and they looked at the structures of the foreskin. And what they found was an abundance of Meissner corpuscles or tactile corpuscles found in the ridge band and the frenulum of the male penis. Guess what? Those both structures are removed during circumcisions. You are removing the male G-spot. You are literally removing the most sensitive spot of a male's genitals for cultural reasons. That has nothing to do with medicine. You're violating children's rights. And you have no knowledge. You have nothing to say for yourself. You can't, it's really disgusting. You can't even logically tell me anything about this tissue. You can't refute anything I'm saying. It's disgusting that you think you have the right. I'm one of your victims, doctor. I'm one of the victims of your ignorance. I'm missing half the surface area of my dick because of you, because of your inability to do basic science, doctor. How long has foreskin been part of mammals? Answer that. How long has it been evolutionary part of mammals that foreskin has been developed in mammals? All mammals, doctor. How long? Can you answer that question?
For a very long time.
Oh, that's it. That's your answer for a very long time.
And
For about 150 to 200 million years. I can answer these questions, doctor, but you can't. How is that? Because you're negligent. You are negligent in your duties. You're negligent in your basic duties. Not only that, you are culturally brainwashed to believe that it is your right to take a knife to a child and cut apart their genitals. Normal, healthy tissue of children. And you're cutting apart their genitals? What the fuck is wrong with you?
okay.
I mean, think about yourself. You are disgusting. You are a hideous human being to do this to children. How do you live with yourself when you see those child screaming under your knife? You sicko. That's disgusting. And you're a doctor? What did you become a doctor for? To help people or hurt people?
Are you done?
No, I'm not done. I lived this way my whole life. How dare you? Am I done? No, I have a lot to say about this. How about you answer for it? What do you have to say about it? How do you justify this? Tell me. I'm your victim. Tell me why you did this to me.
I did that you?
You did this to how many children have you done this to, doctor? How many? One is too many. One was too many. And how many have you done this to, doctor? You are a serial child abuser. You get paid to hurt children. That's your duty.
Circumcision is something that has been done for thousands of years.
I don't give a shit. The Dani tribe has cut off fingers for thousands of years. Your excuses are pathetic. Your excuses are pathetic. For thousands of years, I don't care. I don't care if slavery was if it was part of human societies for thousands of years. I don't care. I, as a human being with my own brain, with my own mind, with my own heart and capabilities for compassion, empathy, and common sense, I have that capability. You should have that capability.
All right. No one is forcing circumcise the baby.
No. You circumcise children against the violation of the children's rights. A child cannot consent to an optional cosmetic surgery, doctor. That child has not been trained about Sorrells and Taylor and Cold and Lockwood, just like you haven't been trained in Sorrells, Taylor, and Lockwood. Okay? Because if I explain this, and when men find this out, doctor, you do realize the writing's on the wall, right? You do realize that the anatomy and structure of the male genitals will become known, even though you, as a physician, don't know the 101 basic anatomy of the male genitals. You don't even know the basic anatomy. You don't even know. The public, the American public will find this out. The American public will find this out. I'm telling you right now, you need to cease and desist from mutilating the genitals of children. It is not your right to violate your oath. And we, as an American men, are waking the fuck up to what you did to us and the cowardly, disgusting act you're doing to children every single day. You are a sick human being. You are a violator of children. You should be in prison. There's no way you should be allowed to be anywhere near a child. You are totally, completely, utterly incompetent at your job. You violate your job. You violate the duty of your office. You disrespect your own career. You disrespect the men of our society. You disrespect medicine. You disrespect basic science. You know that Europe is disgusted by you, right? European doctors stand in strong opposition to you. They're the ones with all their dick. They know what you're missing. They have all their genitals. They know what you and I are missing.
Okay, all right.
Let me ask you this. Do you really think all that surface area in the middle of a man's genitals has no effect on sensation? Do you really believe that? You logically and reasonably can articulate that logic. Tell me that. You really think that doesn't affect sensation? That's your position.
I do. I've seen them. The ones who are circumcised, they're not having any problem.
Oh, bullshit. Bullshit. You piece of shit. You lying coward. You don't even know. You're an idiot. The ED is so high in this country. The erectile dysfunction, the Viagra, the erectile dysfunction is 4.5 times higher, up to 10 times higher in mutilated men. You are a liar. You are a liar. You are incompetent at your basic job. You're lying. You're going to sit here as a physician. Okay, let me ask you this. If I cut out one of my eyeballs, would that affect my eyesight, doctor? As a physician, what would your opinion be? Your professional opinion, doctor. If I cut out my eyeball, would that affect my eyesight? That's half my eyesight, right?
Yeah.
That would affect my eyesight. So how would removing half the surface area of my dick not affect my dick sensation?
The sensation comes from the head.
I just explained to you what Dr. Sorrells did and what Dr. Taylor and Cold and Lockwood proved. You don't even know. The Meissner corpuscles are the most sensitive type of you're familiar with Meissner corpuscles, right? At least say yes to that, please. You know what a tactile corpuscle is.
What did you need from? I mean, there are so many doctors do circumcision.
I don't give a shit.
Why are you calling me?
I don't give a shit, bro.
Why are you targeting?
Because I'm calling all of you. I'm calling every damn one of you. Every one of you is guilty of crimes against humanity. Every one of you is a violator of children. Every one of you rapes children with knives. That's how I feel about it. I would rather have been raped, doctor, than mutilated. Do you get that? If I was raped, I would have all my body parts. I would have my body parts if I was raped, okay? It wouldn't have been near as painful, okay? You know that the dorsal nerve block doesn't work, doctor, right? It's not 100% effective at removing the pain. Every child you mutilate is going to have pain, okay? There's no children that sleep through it. That's called shock. When a child shuts down, that's called shock. It's the same thing as an animal in the animal kingdom when it stops in the woods because it's scared of a predator. It freezes. That's what a child's doing when it stops and it stops crying. So what you're doing is you're putting shock and trauma and into that child. You're damaging their mental capacity as well. All these children that you're mutilating are developing at least some form of PTSD on some amount. And they may not know it, but this affects them the rest of their lives. Go research adverse childhood experiences. Listen to me, doctor. I'm more knowledgeable about you than this. Listen to me. Go research. Listen to me. Listen to me. Go research adverse childhood experiences. Look it up on the Harvard website.
Okay.
Adverse childhood experience. You're literally damaging the psychology of children and affecting the men that they become.
All right, sir. I mean, this has been a very unfair conversation.
I hope so. I hope so.
I realize. I need to educate myself more. I will go read about what is that Soros? How to spell that?
Soros, Sorrells. Soros. Fine touch sensitivity testing. Look up Taylor, Cold, and Lockwood. Okay, Taylor, Cold, and Lockwood did a histology.
Hold on.
Sure.
Hold on. Thanks, right. Hold on.
Sure.
Hold on. Soros.
Sorrells.
Okay. And then what was the other one?
Taylor, Taylor. Cold,
Okay.
Cold, like you have a cold, and then Lockwood, Lockwood. That's the histology studies. Sorrells did the sensitivity testing. I'm going to give you a warning ahead of time because there's some pseudoscience in the next recommendation I'm going to give to you, and that the reason I'm giving you this recommendation is so you don't fall for it and that you realize how stupid it is. Look up Jennifer Bozzio's fine touch sensitivity testing. Jennifer Bozzio, Bossio. What you're going to...
Sorry, hold on.
Jennifer Bozzio.
Last name?
Bossio.
B-A?
No, Bossio.
Okay.
She redid the sensitivity testing of Sorrells. The purpose she redid it for was to debunk Sorrells. She had an agenda right off the bat. She failed at her agenda, but she lied in her conclusions. If you look at her mapping, you will find that she actually proved that the foreskin has the most sensitivity to temperature, which we did not know ahead of time. So she actually proved that, which temperature is a big part of sexual sensation. She also proved that the area that she tested on the foreskin was the most sensitive of all the areas of the other areas. She also tested the one area of the foreskin that showed the least sensitivity that Dr. Sorrells tested. Then she relied on her conclusions to say that it doesn't affect sensitivity. But yet she number one, proved that the area that she tested on the foreskin was the most sensitive, and she also proved it was the most sensitive to temperature. Yet she said the opposite in her conclusions. This is an industry that has manipulated science for a long time. And there's a reason why this is not taught in medical schools, and most medical doctors are unaware of these scientific studies because they don't want you to know. They want the profit to roll in. They know that they make a lot of money on this. Just doing the cutting themselves, the doctors in America make about $2 billion a year. They then sell the tissues. Some hospitals do. I'm not saying yours does, but some sell the tissues for medical research and for such erroneous things or ridiculous things such as women's face creams. So women are literally lathering the genital tissue of children on their face to reduce wrinkles. And Oprah sells it, believe it or not. Oprah sells it. It's called Skin Medica. You can't make this shit up. Look up Skin Medica and Oprah if you really want to have some fun with this. But yeah, I really hope this was a positive outcome, even though it was a negative conversation. I really hope that you do that research, and I really hope that you recognize this as a negative thing and not a positive thing, and that is not positive to be missing most of the sensation of our penis. And that we have been robbed of one of the most pleasure-giving parts of our bodies for life, and that's sad. And I just want to stop it. So I hope you can find it in your heart to recognize this as for what it is, and maybe end it in your practice.
All right. Well, thank you for your education. question. The only promise I make you is I go back to look up all the research that you mentioned, and I appreciate there are some people with latent conscience like yours.
Thank you, sir. Well,
I'm not telling you that I want to do this, because that's something that you feel confident in, as I said. And so many years now, some answers that I do go and let you teach.
please do, and then maybe in the future you can change. I hope so. But thank you. I really respect you because of you listening to me, and I know this was a hard conversation, but I respect you for listening to me, and thank you for that. All right, thank you, sir. Bye-bye.